on 7 Rivers Sports. I'm your host, Terry Erickson. Each week, and I look into sports, into wellness, into fitness, introduce you to some key celebrities in the greater La Crosse area. Today, the focus is on the Aquinas Softball team, one of the better teams in the area. 2 seniors on the show today, Payton English, Nicole Trussoni. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
As we tape the show, you are off to a 12-3 record. Not surprised with the reputation of the Blue Goals. And on the heels of a big win over the Logan Rangers, who have always been a strong part of the MVC. Payton, talk about the season so far. What do you feel you are in terms of your success, maybe some of the highs and lows?
For us, personally, I think we all get along really well, and I think that has helped us win a lot. We're all comfortable saying how we feel, and if something's wrong, we're not afraid to say anything. So I think that helps us. And then a low in our season is if we ever do get down in a game, any game, like, doesn't even matter who we're playing, we get really low. So we, like, don't talk. So I think that's one thing that we're not good at, but
that'll come though, right?
Yeah. I think we're getting better as the season gets further into it. But I think we have a very talented team. Yeah. And it's really fun to play with.
Well, I can see with those wins, and Nicole Trussoni, who I know quite well, because she is my neighbor, one of the better pitchers in the area, no question about it. I taught in an ESPN radio spot on pitchers in the MVC and stretching out, and certainly Delaney Sasha, Sarah Krause, and Nicole Trussoni would be in that same conversation. 10 wins, 3 losses, and you've achieved a lot. Are you satisfied with what you've done so far?
Yes, but I do want more. And I would like to see more success with our team and myself personally to get farther into the playoffs is what our main goal is this year.
Payton talked a little bit about the culture of the team, and of course my good friend Kevin Schreiner, the coach for many, many years. And now Ryan Gillis, the head coach, and the culture of the Blue Gold softball team. Share that.
We have a very team culture this year. What we say every at-bat is have team at-bats, whether it's a sac fly, sac bunt, moving a person over, doing your job to the best of your ability is what our main goal is this year.
Well, Payton, know you through your family, of course, and you, an outfielder, cross-country runner, and you have done well. What is your strength in the outfield? What exactly are your strengths?
I would say it's in the outfield with communication. I like talking a lot, and so I think that really helps, knowing where to go if you get the ball. And if you don't get the ball, just knowing, like, telling where they need to go with it, especially in the outfield if a runner's going home. I normally yell like 4 as loud as I can, and if a runner is stealing, it's really hard on the catcher to see it right away, so I talk a lot out there too.
Here's what your head coach, first year, Ryan Gillis, said about you, Payton. You're a great overall team player. You catch everything in sight in right field, sometimes even into center, because you have such good range. You've always kept your composure. You're a vocal leader as a senior. You're even-keeled, and you are a big asset to the team. Those are pretty strong, complimentary thoughts from Ryan Gillis. Thoughts on that?
No, I think that it's always good to have someone on the team that's always, like, relatively calm. I think I do that pretty well.
As a leader, of course, as a senior, you're called on to you're on a platform, and you need to be a role model for younger players. Players that maybe are underachievers, players that maybe need your leadership and your encouragement. How do you do that?
I think just by including everyone, I would say, and then just working hard, because my freshman year, I was considered a floater, what we call it, so you like on VR, but then games that VR doesn't have a game, you're pulled up for varsity. That was my initial thing. But then after a game on varsity, I got moved up like completely on varsity. So I think just the hard work I had from that can play into other people to help.
And of course, Nicole Trussoni, we talked about her skills as a pitcher, and of course you've developed those through a lot of hard work, a lot of off-season training, and a lot of AAU, a lot of summer, a lot of opportunities that you've taken advantage of. Is that really the key to maybe the success you now are having as a senior?
Yes, definitely. Work in the off-season prepares you for the season, obviously, but also putting in time with your teammates. Like, I worked with Gracie Murtis a lot this season, pitching and catching. I did a lot of strength training this year so I can keep my endurance, which helped a lot for doubleheaders, obviously, because we had a lot of snow in May or in April. But I think the success I see now has come from my work in the off season, yes.
Talk about your success with your mechanics and maybe your best pitch and how you face batters. And when I see you on the hill, what would you say would be your the keys to success in terms of how you deliver the ball?
I don't necessarily have a ton of speed, but I have a lot of movement on my ball, which has really helped me, and I hit my spots very well. And I kind of change perspectives for the batter, so I go high and low, and I change speeds, and really the off-speed pitch has been a big part of my arsenal, and that's really helped me get strikeouts and soft contact with batters.
So like we tell young pitchers, baseball, softball, it's all about location, isn't it?
Yes.
And do you talk to your catcher about that in terms of how she sets up, and do you study batters to see where you want the ball delivered?
Yes and no, because our coach, Ryan Miller, calls the pitches, but I also do communicate with the catchers that where I would like them to set up in terms of location, if he calls an inside or an outside pitch. Good.
Well, Payton, cross country too.
Mm-hmm.
Two-sport athlete.
Yep.
Success in cross country?
I actually started cross country this year. I played volleyball up until junior year, and then this year I decided to just run, and I think it's helped me a lot with endurance, like Nicole, just by running. I wasn't very good at it, but I really liked the team, and I had a lot of fun.
There's something special about being a track athlete, cross-country athlete, and not quite the visibility and the attention to cross-country as there is to volleyball, but you were okay with that, right?
Yeah, it was fun. I don't really like people watching me. I get nervous, so I like that more.
And of course, as Nicole is, your honorable mention, you're all academic. I mean, you really personify student athlete, academics first, and athletics second. Is that part of the expectations of your parents?
Yeah, they like to push my grades pretty hard because they know that I'm capable of getting those grades, and so yeah, they want me to study more than play.
And Nicole too, academic, all conference, and National Honor Society, so you believe too, and good advice for our young people. That's why Payton and Nicole and others are on the show, because you really exemplify what it means to be an athlete, and you've always prided yourself on your studies.
Yes, yes. I think that's also the culture at Aquinas. You see most student athletes are in NHS and are involved in Impact and Interact and all different service groups, which is really great because you become a well-rounded person through different things.
What's special about Aquinas?
I'd say the family, because it's definitely a family culture, and you play sports with a lot of the same kids, and you grow up around them, and the parents know you by name. even if like you haven't played sports with their children necessarily, and know how you've done in sports and congratulate you on any achievements you've had.
The mission statement of Aquinas is a Christian-based education, and that spiritual component is very, very important. It's led by good administration, good teachers, and of course the English family. Payton, grandfather, taught there and coached wrestling, and your dad and your uncles, and I mean the English name, the Knuckles name, and so on is synonymous with Aquinas. Your takeaway as you get ready to graduate from being a Blue Gold?
I think that it has built me as a person. Like, I have very strong values, and I know what's right and what's wrong and stuff like that, where I know like other things are more important than others.
Okay. And that Christian sort of values is how you were raised too? Yeah,
I was raised through it.
Good, good. Well, we're going to step just aside for a minute. When we come back, we're going to talk more with Payton English and Nicole Trussoni about being a Blue Gold athlete and what's ahead for them in the next chapter of their life right after this.
At Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, we have assembled a championship team
who listens to what your needs are.
We install carrier comfort systems that improve the comfort, efficiency, and the air quality of your home and workplace.
We serve you with highly trained technicians who are prompt, friendly, and honest.
For Gold Star treatment, turn to the experts, Carrier and Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning.
Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, your comfort is our business.
Welcome back to Seven River Sports. Again, the spotlight today on Aquinas Blue Gold Softball. Payton English, Nicole Trussoni. Talked a little bit about in the first half of the show about the new coach and new culture and so on, and Ryan Gillis said this about you, Nicole. He said you're a workhorse on the mound and you're a fierce competitor. You've made great adjustments to the positive side during the season. You're hard on yourself. You're always ready to battle and take the challenge at hand. Again, lofty, complimentary thoughts from Ryan Gillis. Does that describe you?
Yes, I love to compete. I'm very competitive. I do like, as you said before, I do like to look at what batters did the previous at-bat and make adjustments from that. And shoot, what did he say?
He said you're the spirit of a warrior. You're a workhorse. You're determined. You're confident. You're humble, but you lead by your desire to compete.
Yes, and I would say that I do lead by example for our team. I'm not the most vocal, and I would say I don't like to give up on batters, and even if it's a 3-0 count, I do still throw strikes, and I'm not going to walk the person if I don't have to. And I don't like to give up, basically.
Well, at the top of the MVC in softball this year is Holman, Onalaska, and Aquinas in that top tier. 3 of the better teams as we are on the 2/3 of the way through the season. You have like 6 games left. Again, as we tape the show here on May 8th, you just finished with a win over Logan, and at Logan, by the way, and Onalaska this week, and you have Holman on the horizon, and so it's still a little up in the air between the 3 teams that we mentioned on what's ahead. What's ahead? Who's going to win it at the end?
We are. I say we are. I think that we have the desire to win, and it's not been handed to us, but when Onalaska handed Holman their loss, I think that gives us an opportunity to take what we want and achieve it.
Payton, the strength of the MVC. I mean, a lot of conferences say that, and there are good conferences around. We're not the only one. But the strength of the MVC as watching our daughters play and umpiring and assigning and so on, there's some tremendous athletes there. And each game is a battle, and that's kind of an overused statement too, but a lot of talent.
Mm-hmm.
Aquinas is one of the better teams, year in and year out. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think every game that we go into, we can't go in assuming that we're going to win. Every opponent is hard, and we have to fight for every single win that we have. Obviously, there are some harder ones like Holman and Onalaska, but they still challenge us every way.
All of us had people in our past that have inspired us. Who's inspired you, Payton?
I said my grandparents because for support, they come to every single one of my games, and even like no matter where it is, they're always there to help and cheer me on. And they even go to all of Aquinas events, no matter what. It could be a hockey game, and they'd be there. So I think that really inspired me to do that for others.
Good. Well, of course, I know the grandparents really well, and that's kind of who they are, and that's been a big part of you look around, there they are, and it inspires you to do as well as you can. You don't want to let them down, right?
Yeah.
Who inspires you, Nicole Trussoni?
I would also say my grandparents, just because they are 86 and 87, and they still manage to make it to most all of my games. And my grandma actually clipped every single news article since my freshman year out of the newspaper that has my name in it, which is really touching. And my grandpa, I'm the last grandchild, and the only athletic one too. And so he's made it to almost all of my games, my 4 years of playing.
If I asked your teammates to share their thoughts on Nicole Trussoni, what would they say?
I'd say they would say I'm intense, and that I like to compete and win.
I just may ask your teammates too, Payton, what they think about you, and what would they say?
I would say the exact opposite of Nicole, which is, I think, why we work well together as captains, because Nicole is more intense than I am, and I'm more easygoing and relaxing, but I think we work very well together for that.
A lot of our listeners would like to be a Payton English and Nicole Trussoni, a role model, student athlete, and so on. What advice would you share with them?
I would say just the never give up cliche. If you want something, you can go get it yourself, and people will back you up behind it too.
Nicole, there's a lot of people that would like to have your skills and your notoriety. What would you say to them? How do you get that?
Hard work and dedication, putting in the time in, and you'll see results.
Is it hard to be a student athlete, though, because of all the things out there in the world? You're on a platform, you're on display, but, you know, there's a lot of people that perhaps don't understand that and make bad decisions, and we all do, but it's not easy. And would you agree with that? Is it hard to be a student athlete?
Yes, because it's an extra part of your day being taken away from studies and things you could have been doing to prepare for school, but instead you have practice, then you have to go home and do your homework and study for a test or try to get good grades as best you can.
Hard for Payton English to live up to that?
Yeah, a little bit. Towards senior year, you don't really get as much homework, but I still find myself struggling to get some stuff done, mainly because I don't want to do it. But
what's next for Payton English? You graduate, next chapter of your life. Where are you going?
I'm going to Duluth, University of Minnesota Duluth.
And your career?
I'm going to major in biology.
Okay, and so 5, 10, 15 years from now, what's Payton English going to be doing?
Hopefully a veterinarian.
Well, good. I'm sure you'll be a good one too. That's your strength. That's your gift. That's your subject area at Aquinas. You really enjoy biology and that area.
Yeah, biology and math. I'm pretty good at.
Good. And Nicole, somebody told me just recently you just might stick around here. Is that right?
Yes. Yes. I'm going to UWL, and I'm going to participate in the ROTC program. And so I'll serve after I'm done with college. And I'd like to go to law school and be a lawyer.
Whoa, good.
Yes.
So you're going to go to UWL and then enroll immediately in the ROTC program?
So you enroll your freshman year in the ROTC program. You take military science, and then you have to contract by your junior year. And they pay for basically everything in college.
Have you always thought about doing that?
Yes, yes. Most of my family members have gone into the military, and it's always something I felt I have to do.
What's something people don't know about Nicole Trussoni?
My dad has cardiomyopathy, and he's on the heart transplant list.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's kind of a revealing thing, and I'm sure that's a concern for the whole family. Is that?
Yes.
Is that so? There's no real timeline to that possibility?
No. No.
And of course, with Payton English, with people around the world that are seeing this show, and what's one thing they may not know about you?
A little less serious than Nicole's, but most people don't know that I'm left-handed. Everything non-athletic I do with my left hand, and then everything athletic is right-handed.
Good. Well, that's interesting. So, and is there a favorite saying that you have?
My favorite thing, I just learned it this year when our two coaches had us look over this little article about it, and one saying was, "You got this," and I think that's helped me a lot by gaining confidence.
And you say to teammates that are struggling, perhaps you say to them, "You got this."
Yeah.
And in a way to inspire, encourage, and get them to think the same way you think. And with Nicole, philosophy of life as a young person, favorite saying?
My favorite saying is, think like the person you want to be. And that's because I think everything starts with your thoughts, and your thoughts turn into your actions.
Yeah, kind of like John F. Kennedy's 10 most famous words. If it is to be, it is up to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of you?
Yes.
Good. Well, you guys have been great guests, and again today the spotlight on Aquinas Blue Gold Softball, a great program with two seniors that lead by example, and another successful season right now with 12 wins and going into the postseason in Division III, I believe. And
yes.
We'll have a great deal of success, we hope. So thanks for being on the show again, Payton English, Nicole Trussoni.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be back with some closing thoughts and some clips on a recent game right after this.
At Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, we have assembled a championship team
who listens to what your needs are.
We install carrier comfort systems that improve the comfort, efficiency, and the air quality of your home and workplace.
We serve you with highly trained technicians who are prompt, friendly, and honest.
For Gold Star treatment, turn to the experts, Carrier and Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning.
Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, your comfort is our business.
Welcome back to Seven Rivers Sports. Well, Rick and I were at Lee Gilbert Field on Tuesday night for an MVC matchup, the Blue Goals versus the visitors from Tomah. It was a pitcher's duel between the Blue Goals' Jake Salvadelli and Tomah's Jesse Johnson, both pitching exceptionally well. Tomah scored first in the third inning on two Blue Gold errors. The Blue Goals scored their tying run in the fifth inning on a Justin Bausch single. The score remained tied at 1 at the end of 7, forcing extra innings. In the bottom of the 8th, sophomore Jack Coleman proved to be the game hero as he hit a bases-loaded single to score the winning run. Final score, Aquinas 2 and Tomah 1. Both teams one game remaining before they begin postseason play next week. Don't forget, Knights of Thunder Racing here on KQEG every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Well, I'm your host, Terry Erickson, hoping that you will have an exciting and a healthy week ahead. So long from all of us here at Seven Rivers Sports.